6:12 p.m. and I announce the following. The board voted unanimously in favor of placing a certificated employee on compulsory leave. Secondly, the board voted unanimously in favor of suspending a certificated employee pursuant to Education Code 44942. I'd like to announce that today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. Also, there are blue cards that are available on the table just outside of the boardroom for anyone who wishes to address the board. If you wish to address the board, complete a card and hand it to a staff member to my right. Please be sure to complete the card indicating whether you wish to address an item that's on the agenda or not on the agenda. If the matter is on the agenda, we assume you wish to speak when it comes time to address that item, and we'll hold your card until then. So tonight we will start our meeting with our Pledge of Allegiance and the recognition of a community partner, and I call on Ms. Nancy Chiras Espinosa.
Good evening. The Elk Grove Charter School is honored to recognize Mrs. Brenda Lee Felix Wong as our education partner. Should we have her come up first? Yeah. Sorry, I'm rusty here. Let's have Mrs. Felix Wong and Mr. Mark Levine come up to the podium, please. Right there, great. So the Elk Grove Charter School is honored to recognize Mrs. Brenda Lee Felix Wong as our education partner. Brenda Lee was born in Mexico and immigrated to the United States at the age of 6. She grew up in Oakland, California, and eventually moved to Elk Grove. She recently graduated from California State University, Sacramento with a bachelor's degree in child development, early care, and education. Congratulations. When Brenda Lee decided to leave Oakland, she chose Elk Grove because it is safe, affordable, has excellent community services, supports classes, and ultimately the schools. Brenda Lee and her husband David made the commitment to help her younger cousin Luis Felix by moving him to Elk Grove to live with them and to attend an Elk Grove school. They knew Luis needed to leave Oakland to help him reach his full potential. She enrolled Luis in the Elk Grove Charter School. In Brenda Lee's words, "As soon as I found the school, I knew this is where I wanted Luis to go. I was sure he would succeed." Once Luis was enrolled, Brenda Lee and her husband modeled what it means to be an engaged and active adult in the life of a young person. Luis was a shining star at Elk Grove Charter School. Unfortunately, Luis passed away on April 12th earlier this year during a return visit to Oakland. His passing has touched us all. However, we are all blessed to have been a part of this amazing young man's life, and we continue to benefit from working with Brenda Lee and her family. Despite this terrible year, Brenda Lee remains active in the Elk Grove Charter School, attending this year's back-to-school nights. She was able to speak to parents about her experiences as Luis's guardian. In addition, she is currently working with the school to set up a memorial scholarship fund for students like Luis. She has also expressed interest in serving on the school's advisory council in the future. The Board of Education is pleased and honored to recognize Brenda Lee Felix Wong's contributions to the Elk Grove Charter School and to the Elk Grove Unified School District. Let's give her a round of applause.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
And Mrs. Felix Wong, as I walk down there, if you'd like to say anything, go right ahead.
I want to say thank you.
right, now it's a real pleasure to have our high school student representative reports. Tonight we're going to have Monterey Trail and Valley High School, and we will begin with Monterey Trail.
Good evening, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. My name is New Fun. I'm the ASB president.
I'm Simon Ram, ASB Vice President.
And
We are both proud to represent Monterey Trail High School. Go Mustangs!
On August 29th, Monterey Trail held back to school night where parents and family members were introduced to the child's teachers and classes. We also informed parents about the new way to access their students' grades through Parent View and Synergy. On September 15th, Monterey Trail proudly hosted the HBCU Recruitment College Fair where students from all EGUSD high schools, along with other high schools within the area, were able to attend and learn about the different colleges with opportunities such as on-the-spot college admissions and scholarship offers. Several Mustangs were able to take the advantage of this opportunity and are proud to already accepted to a four-year college. Monterey Trail has a comprehensive college visitation program supported by our college counselors. Our students have already had the opportunity to take the field trip to UC Merced and Sac State.
And now for ASB. Starting off the year, we held our Welcome Back Assembly on August 11th to introduce our amazing staff, teachers, administration, and ASB councils. The very same day, class of 2018 seniors watched the sunrise in the Mark Mackers Memorial Stadium. Seniors bonded with one another while watching the sunrise as we get ready for an exciting year. On September 26th, the seniors took a day trip to Rancho Seco Park for senior picnic from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., filled with bonding activities, great music, and a delicious lunch from Texas Roadhouse and dessert from Leatherby's. Freshman orientation, now affectionately called the Giddy Up, was held on August 4th, which incoming freshmen can get familiar with our campus. On September 7th, Link Crew hosted their annual tailgate party for freshmen filled with activities, music, food, and a performance by our Impulse Dance Company. ASB, for the first time ever, hosted a movie night right on campus on August 25th. Students and families were welcome to bring their blankets and lawn chairs to enjoy the movie Insidious. This was a successful event with over 300 students who attended to enjoy popcorn and a few screens under the stars. On September 29th, we also held Parent Lunch Day, where parents were invited to enjoy lunch with their students. They were also able to participate in games such as beanbag toss, bingo, volleyball, and ladder toss. There were over 290 parents who attended. Devastated by the damage of Hurricane Harvey, our ASB class came up with the idea of a donation drive, where students, staff, and parents can help donate to the victims in Texas. Donations were collected for 2 weeks, and I am happy to say that Monterey Trail High School collected $1,283, which will be donated to the Houston Food Bank. We even had Fox 40 come to our school to interview the students about our efforts to help the victims of the hurricane. This is a great opportunity for us to exemplify our core value of community. Now on the athletic front, our fall sports teams consist of women's volleyball, football, cross country, water polo, women's tennis, cheer, and women's golf. Although season has just begun for our fall sports teams, our student athletes are representing the Mustangs well with hard work, grit, and dedication. On September 8th, our Monterey Trail Mustangs took a 42-14 victory against Vista del Lago. Advertising it as our whiteout game, students were encouraged to dress in white apparel to show their support and spirit. Similarly, on September 29th, we had a blackout game where, you guessed it, students displayed their spirit by decking out in all black. Our Mustangs took a 49-28 victory against Pleasant Grove High School.
For our clubs, Monterey Trail Annual Club Rush was held on August 22nd and 23rd. Club Rush is all about students from all grade levels getting the opportunity to explore the numerous diverse clubs offered here at Monterey Trail. Some of our clubs include Salsa Club, Latino Club, Key Club, BSU, Delta Gems, Poly Ohana, Environmental Awareness Club, Mustang Stampede, and many more. In fact, our club here on campus, Key Club, had their first meeting on August 30th with a full house of over 300 students. Key Club, an organization that provides members the opportunity to give back to the community and still being able to raise money for charities. On September 23rd, students from Key Club attended Regional Training Conference at Pleasant Grove, where our members were able to learn about the positions within Key Club. In fact, that same day, our club was able to raise $500 for a charity called Pediatric Traumas Program.
And now for VAPA. Monterey Trail's VAPA department held their annual prelude to the season on September 20th. Theater, band, Impulse, and choir's amazing performances set the expectations for the remaining 2017-2018 school year. A total of 400 plus students, parents, staff, and the people of the community attended were excited to experience our artists' talent firsthand. Our theater program will be presenting the fall play She Kills Monsters, which will be hosted on the 13th, 14th, 19th, 20th, and 21st of October.
This concludes our presentation this evening. Summer and I will be reporting back to you on February 6, 2018. In the meantime, we'd like to extend our invitation to the board to come visit the trail anytime to see all the great things that are happening every day. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for your time and support. Go Mustangs.
Thank you. All right, next, Valley High School.
Good evening, President Forsina, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Go Vikings, and Ms. Avalos. It is an honor to be here with you here tonight to represent Valley High School. I am Alejandro Galicia, a senior.
And I'm Kasim Rashid, a junior. To begin, we want to take a brief moment to share with you where our previous board reps, Paul Martinez and Leonel Solario, transitioned to after graduation. Our Pride Viking alumni had different callings. Paul answered the call from a Triton, and he's enjoying himself in UC San Diego.
And Leonel answered the call from a Bear, and he is enjoying his time at UC Berkeley. Furthermore, the whole Viking class of 2017 endured to the very end, fighting to contain senioritis. Me, personally, I have fallen victim to this horror disease already, but don't worry, I have it under control.
Sure you do.
Oh, and not to brag, but the entire class of 2017 collectively earned over $1 million worth of scholarships and grants to pay for college this fall.
With that being said, let's get into more recent events. To kick off the year strong, Viking Strong, ASB hosted the freshman orientation and barbecue where we gave tours of the campus and helped the new scholars find all of their classes before the year started. This year, about 75% of freshmen came out to see the campus. All right, let's move on to all things fall. First off, we kicked off our fall sports with a bang at the Fall Sports Rally, where we went all blue and showed our Viking spirit. Our football team has been putting up a fight, but they're currently 0-2 in league. Our women's volleyball team is currently 3-3. Women's tennis and golf are staying in the game, while women's cross country plays second in the first league meet. The season had just begun, but they will soon show how Viking strong they are.
Our class of 2018 seniors have started out the year strong. Aside from some early victims of senioritis, over the last 4 years of the seniors have become one big family, and we are ready to take on the year ahead. They began the year with senior sunrise, where they munched on donuts while watching the sunrise in their pajamas. And we know it's only a matter of time before we watch the senior sunset together. The seniors are currently in the most stressful time of the year, better known as college app seasons. Dun dun dun. Fortunately, Valley teachers and counselors have their back and have been guiding them along the way. Valley recently hosted our annual financial aid night, which was very well attended. And tomorrow, Valley will host a college fair where our scholars will have the opportunity to talk to college representatives from all over California. This event will help them compile a list of universities they would like to apply to.
In August, we celebrated our academic success with Block V, recognizing our scholars' academic achievements, complete with pizza and friendly class competition. And it's no surprise that the juniors won.
Only because they cheated.
Last Friday, Valley held a Strong Start lunch where each teacher was able to choose a student who was off to a strong start for the semester to enjoy a nice barbecue and lunch to honor their hard work. Sadly, neither of us were chosen.
Because when you're already at the top, you can't improve.
On September 15th, JRTC worked alongside with the Blood Source to hold the blood drive. 1 pint of my blood helped save 3 people. What about you, Alejandro?
Let's not talk about that. I'm scared of needles. We just finished up with our annual club rush. Returning clubs like Key Club, GQSA, and Go Green Clubs were major hits, and growing more and more popular. We also had new clubs come out like Madu UN and Muslim Student Association. We now have 25 active clubs on campus. Our Health Tech program hosted their annual career health fair. Here, the scholars got to network with over 40 plus health providers to potentially land a job in the health profession. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep and Buckmaster, for your attendance and support.
On another note, shout out to Sonny Jones and Alejandro Galicia for being recognized for Elk Grove Laguna Post 233 for their involvement in the California State Boys program over the summer. Because of them, the Post is hoping to expand the number of delegates attending and refund the program for next year.
Moving on, Improve Your Tomorrow is a POUR program at Valley exclusively dedicated to helping young men of color reach four-year institutions. They continue to fund their summer internship program at the state capitol for the fourth year in a row. The culminating activity for the summer internship program consisted of presenting their ideas for the Campaign for Change to receive a $1,500 grant to implement their proposal. IoT continues to grow and make an impact in the community.
Valley also continues to sail forward with the new opportunities for their scholars. Our school now offers a new fire science pathway. Thank you, Mr. Madison and Superintendent Hoffman, for coming to the showcase that appeared on television. After school, we now offer institutes that allow our scholars to dig deep into subjects they're interested in, such as photography and engineering, just to name a few. We also are constructing a new engineering classroom fully equipped with a laser cutter, sanding belt, and a new 3D printer. Our classrooms aren't the only thing getting a makeover. We are getting a new turf field which will allow us to hold home games at Valley. Thank you, Superintendent Hoffman, Robert Pierce, and Rod Edmiston for making it happen.
Valley had just started this year's village, and it's looking like one for the books. We look forward to returning next year on February 28th to catch you up on our jam-packed homecoming season, Day of the Day celebration, and much more. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We have a few gifts for you guys, so we'll give it to Ms. Lydia then. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd also like to recognize the school principals, Mr. Eric Swanson, Monterey Trail High School, Richard Gutierrez, Valley High School. And students, thank you again, and you're free to go whenever you choose. Thank you. All right, next, introduction of new district level administrators, and Dr. Bindi Grewal will come up and do that, and I'd like to have the board join me down in front with Superintendent.
Good. Good evening, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. I have the honor of introducing our district level administrators that are either new to the district or have been promoted. So we'll start with Mark Cerruti. Could I have you join me for just a moment, Mr. Cerruti? So Mark began his career in Elk Grove in 2005. He has served as a vice principal, director of secondary education, associate superintendent of education service, interim superintendent, and he's been recently promoted to deputy superintendent of education services and schools. A little known fun fact about Mark is that his home is filled with rescued animals, dogs, cats, and bunnies. Congratulations, Mark. Up next, we have Sue Larson. Sue began her career in our district as a classroom teacher in elementary school. She has also served as a reading language arts specialist, curriculum and instruction coach, program specialist, director of English language learners, and most recently as executive director of education services. Sue is a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 1 so far. She's a foodie who loves to cook for family and friends. She also loves to spend time at the beach and Tahoe with her family. Congratulations, Sue. Our next employee is Mike Sharp. Mike couldn't make it this evening. He's out enjoying the Janet Jackson concert. But Mike's career began in 1985 as a bus driver. He continued his growth in transportation as a scheduling technician, supervisor, manager, and then has recently been promoted to director of transportation. Congratulations to Mike. Up next, we have Patricia Sapula. All right, Patricia joined us in 1989 as a classroom teacher, 4th grade. She has continued her career in our district as a resource teacher and has been promoted to program specialist in career and technical education. Patricia is a proud parent of 2 successful students in Elk Grove. Congratulations, Patricia. Our next is Kelly Kwan Martin. Kelly couldn't make it this evening. She began her career in 2006 as a 7th and 8th grade science teacher. She's also served as a curriculum specialist and has recently been promoted to program specialist for CPL. Her hobbies: cooking, baking, playing soccer, gardening, Bikram yoga, photography, Pinterest, and a successful do-it-yourselfer. Congratulations to Kelly. Next is Cynthia Hayes. Cynthia couldn't make it this evening either. She's joining our team as a program specialist for special education. She moved here from Turlock, Modesto, and she's serving as a program specialist and plans to move to the Elk Grove area and make this her permanent home. She enjoys working with site teams and parents and is looking forward to a new adventure. In her spare time, she vacations in Houston, Texas. Congratulations to Cindy. Up next is Linda Sanguinetti. I don't believe Linda was going to make it this evening. She joins our team as a program specialist for special education. She's joining us from the California Department of Education Diagnostic Center in Northern California. Congratulations to Linda. And last, and of course not least, is Melissa Stoneman. Melissa could not make it this evening. She's a program specialist for special education. She's joining us from Folsom, Cordova. An interesting fact about Melissa is that as a teenager, she did some modeling photos in a teen magazine. Congratulations to Melissa. Thank you.
You know what? This is not where we're going to recognize the people. Hold on. No, I thought this was where we gave the checks this year. Yeah, we are. All right, next is Recognition of Energy Awareness Month, and I call on Mr. Robert Pierce, and Ms. Nancy Chiros Espinosa will participate with you and our recipients.
Okay, thank you, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. This is an annual item that we have been conducting for the last 7 years with regard to our district-wide energy conservation program. It's frankly something that we don't get enough time to talk about throughout the year. It's something that I have a lot of energy around, and we sure have saved a lot of money in the process of our program. Utility bills used to be something that the school district just paid. We didn't think that we could control those, and we were approached by SMUD about 8 years ago, who shared with us how many kilowatt hours we're consuming as a school district and where they believed we could get just with regard to a change in behavior across our district. So we took some pride in that, knowing that we weren't number one as a school district in one category. And so we rolled up our sleeves and put some work in, and I want to share the results with you over this year. The board will recall that the beauty of our program is it's zero cost. It's purely behavioral. We just changed the way that people think. Our mantra early on was pretend you pay the bills, treat your workplace like you would your home in terms of electrical consumption, and do things wisely. And people really did grasp it. There's a lot of people that I can thank, including the superintendent and the board. It really does start at the top, and without support from the top down, it just simply won't happen. Our maintenance department has been phenomenal. All of our principals and vice principals, our teachers, and all of our staff have made this program a true success. Our goals have been quite ambitious. This year was no different. We had a savings goal of $1.6 million to reduce our consumption close to 12 million kilowatt hours. And then should the district reach its overall goal, we have a shared savings model where we share some of the savings back with the school sites. I can tell you that the program is so ingrained in our culture. Every year I get an email from a number of principals saying, hey, are we going to get our savings check in October? And I always tell them it depends on if we reached our goal and if you reached your goal. So we instituted the shared savings model again. The board actually does that each year in their unaudited actual action relative to the budget. This slide really shows it all. Again, you see our savings goal in terms of dollars and our kilowatt reduction goal. We actually realized just over $2 million in total energy cost savings this year, and we reduced our kilowatt hour consumption by nearly 13.5 million kilowatt hours. And I always like to share this slide. In 2008-9, before we began our program, as a district, we were consuming 62.5 million kilowatt hours a year. We have grown, we've added facilities, we've added students. In the 16-17 year, we consumed less than 50 million kilowatt hours of electricity. And that's really telling. Without regard to rate, we're just merely consuming less electricity than we did, even though we've grown. The 7-year total for the program is over $107 million, or 107 million kilowatt hours. The life of the program, it saved us just over $14.5 million in utility expenses. And to put it in perspective again, at today's rate and our previous consumption levels, our utility bills this year would have been just over $9 million as opposed to the $7.2 million that we utilize for utilities. It's a big number. We're a huge organization, and you can see with a little effort how it affects us in our pockets. So I always like to bring it to a level that people might be able to understand for our program. We have reduced annual emissions from approximately 17,000 vehicles for an entire year, 9 million gallons of gasoline, and 1,200 homes off the grid for an entire year. So it's quite impressive in terms of what just our effort in Elk Grove Unified leads to our environment as well. So in terms of the big savers, this is something that, again, a lot of these folks take competitively. They're also asking me every year because it's a lot of the same usual suspects. We can tell you what many of these sites are doing in order to be top performers, but tonight we like to bring them before the board so that we can recognize them. So Florence Markhofer exceeded their goal, and in fact it was by 224%. Gordon Blackwood is here with us tonight to accept his check and be recognized. And so it does change year to year. Florence Markhofer is actually #1 last year as well, but prior to that they weren't ever in the top 5 for elementary schools. So thank you to Mr. Blackwood and his staff for what they're doing. John Reith is 2nd place this year. They moved up 3 places, but they continue to be in the top for elementary schools. I believe Miss Gould couldn't make it tonight. and she was not here, but nonetheless, we wanted to recognize them at 216% of their goal. Folks Ranch Elementary, a usual suspect at third place. Joe Donovan, the principal, is here tonight in recognition. They continue to be a top-performing school, and I believe have been here every night for the life of the program. John Earhart Elementary at 204%. Here tonight, of course. Billy Idolet is here. Billy, I saw him come in, didn't I? No? Well, they continue to be in the top of elementary schools, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then tonight in 4th place as well. And then last but not least, Elk Grove Elementary. I know Mr. Nevis could not make it here tonight, but at 195% of their goal, ranking 5th for elementary schools. And then in terms of middle schools, Samuel Jackman Middle School at 164% of their goal. I know Mr. Anderson is here tonight. And I'll just share for the board, this is a school, when Mr. Anderson became the principal, he and his custodial staff came to my department. They were well down the list in terms of middle schools, and they wanted to become a top performer, and here they are now, number 1 for all middle schools. Second is Toby Johnson, and I believe Patrick McDougall said he would be here, but I don't, oh, I'm sorry. Vice principal. So second place, Toby Johnson tended to be in second and first, and they fell off last year, but here they are back, so we're proud of them. And then Laguna Creek, number 1 for high schools. Doug Craig, the principal, is here tonight. I will admit that Franklin and Valley have been very tough to beat, and this is something very important to Mr. Craig. He emails me about this quite often. So they have a very, very robust program. And new to the scene, and I'm very proud of this school as well, Florin High School at 140%. New to the scene, so Denise Escobar, principal's here tonight. Thank you. I like seeing new schools to the list. And then William Daylor High School, 211%. They have a wonderful green academy at William Daylor, and they continue to be number 1. And I believe Ms. Whiteside's here. Yep, thank you. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. You do have a resolution in front of you tonight as well, acknowledging October as Energy Conservation Awareness Month, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
No questions, just congratulations to everyone. I think this is a fantastic initiative, and hopefully other school districts also do something comparable. What a great way to save money that we can use for other more important things than paying bills.
Crystal.
Again, congratulations to all the school sites, and I think it's a great way also to save some money. So I'm glad that the program's here.
Tony?
Congratulations on all you winners.
Chet?
Good job.
Yeah. Beth? All right. Yeah, I would just add to all of that, congratulations. That's great work. It takes a commitment, though, and all of you deserve to be recognized. All right, I call for a motion to adopt resolution number 24, designating October 1 through October 31, 2017 as Energy Awareness Month. Moved by Mr. Madison, second by Mr. Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it approves. Thank you.
Give me a check.
All right, next we have several resolutions. First is Week of the School Administrator, Dr. Bindi Grewal.
Good evening again. The state of California has identified the week of October 8th through the 14th as a week of the school administrator. Research has demonstrated that district and school leadership is one of the significant dynamics of schools and districts where high achievement occurs for all students regardless of socioeconomic factors and home language or ethnic diversity. Therefore, in recognition of the dedicated efforts in school and district administrators to make a difference in the lives of children and to support the work of teachers and the support staff, the board is asked to approve Resolution 27, recognizing the week of October 8th through the 14th, 2017, as the week of the school administrator.
Thank you, Bindi. A motion to approve by Mr. Perez, second by
Crystal
Martinez. Sorry about that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed. Thank you. All right, next, Red Ribbon Week. Mr. Don Ross. Yeah, I did just want to
Good evening, President Fortuna, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. The Board of Education is requested to recognize the efforts of teachers, staff, administrators in support of Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st. Red Ribbon Week is part of a district-wide prevention program that encompasses education and positive youth development. It is the oldest and largest proactive drug prevention program in the country. It is an awareness campaign designed to warn students about the dangers of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Throughout the week, messages are delivered to students in various creative and positive ways. Whenever possible, student leaders are involved in planning the Red Ribbon Week activities for their schools. The goal of the prevention initiative at the elementary school is to help students understand the harm that can be caused by alcohol, tobacco, and drug abuse, and equip students with the necessary life skills to resist negative pressure. In all secondary level schools, participate in a district-wide prevention education program by supporting Project Alert curriculum, Club Live, Friday Night Live, Link Crew activities, Teen Intervene, and the annual Middle School Leadership Conference and Project Success at each of our continuation high schools. Your recognition of Red Ribbon Week will declare district support for the substance abuse prevention efforts within the Elk Grove Unified School District. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to adopt resolution number 25?
So moved.
Moved by Nancy, second by Bobby. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. Thank you. All right, we're moving to our next resolution, National Bullying Prevention Month, and I call on Ms. Auntie Pinkerton.
Good evening, Board President Fortuna, members of the board, and Superintendent Hoffman and Ms. Avalos. The board this evening is asked to recognize the month of October as National Bullying Prevention Month. It states, whereas the Elk Grove Unified School District supports the rights of students and staff to attend schools that are safe and free from violence, harassment, bullying, and discrimination, and whereas providing a safe school environment that ensures both the physical and emotional safety of students and staff creates the conditions necessary to foster academic achievement, and whereas bullying, harassment, discrimination, and violence, and even the fear of harm can create barriers to learning and contribute to low self-esteem, depression, anger, and in extreme cases, school violence or suicide, and whereas a safe school is one where teaching and learning are not distracted, disruptions are minimized, drugs, violence, bullying, and fear are not present, students are not discriminated against, expectations for behavior are clearly communicated, and consequences for infractions are consistently and fairly applied. And whereas school districts and county offices of education have a responsibility to ensure a safe school environment that is free of intimidation and harassment, and whereas the most effective approach to creating safe school environments requires a comprehensive, coordinated effort including school-wide, district-wide, and community-wide strategies where all institutions, organizations, and individuals must accept responsibility for their critical roles and collaborate to establish a positive environment for teaching and learning. And whereas the month of October is National Bullying Prevention Month, this is a campaign in response to the need to raise awareness of bullying that provides schools and communities with an opportunity to educate students, parents, and others about their role in bullying prevention. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Governing Board of Elk Grove Unified School District hereby supports the goals of National Bullying Prevention Month and will work with a broad spectrum of local community stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, and staff to develop, implement, and monitor policies and programs that foster and support a positive school climate free from bullying, harassment, discrimination, and violence.
Thank you. Before I call for motion, we have several blue cards that have been submitted. I'd like to call on Ms. Lily Devaney first.
Hello again. Ever since I spoke before you in January, I've become the anti-bullying mom. I've created a support group for parents because they're not really sure where to go when their child's being bullied and when they feel like they aren't getting the support of the schools. I just heard what she said the anti-bullying month is about and what the Safe School is about, and that sounds amazing, but realistically, what's happening in a lot of our schools, I don't know that this is really, it sounds nice, but isn't really what's happening. I heard her say everything should be consistently applied. Things aren't consistent. Just this last week, my son had a child try to fight him, and my son did not want to get suspended. He ran away. He came and I watched the child chase him to my vehicle. And when he got in and told me what happened, I immediately called the vice principal, who took care of it the next day. That child was taken care of. My child was taken care of. We had a good experience. A year ago at my son's former school, that was not the case. I was not listened to. And I had to watch at the last board meeting, the gentleman that did not do anything for my son get promoted to principal. That kind of, I felt like you guys heard me, but that kind of just was like a stab in the gut. Zero tolerance is what is supposed to be happening. Zero tolerance is not what's happening. I'm here tonight because I've been asked by numerous parents to come and support them because they are not getting that at the schools. Last time I had a big old thing I typed out, and tonight I'm just kind of speaking from my heart, so sorry. There's some schools do these no contact contracts, but the bully will sign it, but once they're away from that, they go right back to it. My son last year had his bully, the one that told him to kill himself, the one that stabbed him in the stomach with a pencil, sign one of those. Didn't work out for him so well, so. And the children who are bullying, what's happening is what I'm seeing happening with my own children, with other kids, is the bullies are doing what they do, and other kids are afraid to speak up for fear of being called a narc, a snitch. I've had to really, really, really talk to my kids about that, which is why my son came to me instead of fighting the boy. Even though he knew, and it did happen the next day, he got called out on being a snitch, all of the 8th graders. Why'd you snitch him out? Why'd you snitch him out?
Mrs. Devaney, you're over your time. I have to ask you to wrap up.
I'm sorry. I wasn't even paying attention.
It's okay.
But, anyway, just more work needs to be done is the whole point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Summer Thomas?
Won't clear for some reason. Why is it not clearing? Repeat.
Me again.
About 29 seconds.
I'm just coming to you again.
Thank
Lily
you.
spoke. She said a lot of how I feel, or she touched on a lot of what I have to say. But in terms of the National Bullying Month awareness, while it is a step forward, I have been on the committee for education equity strategic planning, which is they're implementing it at this point, and I'm happy at the leaps and bounds and the initiative that the district is taking, but at the same time, National Bullying Month awareness, it is, to me, and it's no disrespect, is fluff. I'm here on behalf of a parent who could not be here for employment reasons for her children, but she's experiencing bullying at her son's elementary school, and it's been going on for 2 years. And so in me looking at the board's policy on how individual schools are supposed to address bullying issues, it's like it's like you have every school doing different things. And I understand that different situations are more egregious than others, and you use discretion in that area. But we need something that's across the board, across the district, a guideline that these administrators are supposed to go by, a step-by-step progressive discipline, something like that across the board, non-discretionary. Like this, if this happens, this happens. If when you do this, this happens. And I don't think that we're getting that. And this mom is feeling very intimidated by her administrator at her school. So she's asking, do I take myself out of it because it's not about me? You can deal with a mediator instead of me, so that my son has a safe and, a healthy learning environment. And as a parent, she should never feel as though she has to step back as her child's first advocate. That disheartens me. This child was choked, beat up by 2 kids at one time. There's like a group that we hate so-and-so group, and he's chased around the playground. And so the mom is feeling as though the administrator has an issue with her. So I would hope that while these issues come up in the district and in our schools, it's how our administrators handle it that can really, set the tone. Or I don't know the words I didn't write anything really, but it really determines how children and families move forward. Things are going to happen. Children are going to be children. Not everyone likes each other. They're learning. They're little ones. I get it. But it's how our administration handles the issues that come forth to them. If you ignore it, then you're ignoring not only the child that's being bullied, but the child that's doing the bullying. And that could be something larger later. And we don't want to do that. So I hope I've said enough and you guys understand what I'm saying. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Summer.
Thank you.
Okay, and excuse me, Bobby was asked to speak also.
Yeah, are any more blue cards, or was that it?
Without it, you're a board member.
Okay. No, I know I don't need one, but I thought you said you had several.
No, there's something else.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to use up anybody's allotted time. Before we take an action on this, I just wanted to speak because it is actually on our agenda, so I can have somewhat of a dialogue on this subject matter. This is very near and dear to my heart, as every single board member and I think in the community people know. It's one of the reasons I ran to be on the school board, because of my own son's bullying experience. It happened at an excellent school, so the stereotype that it happens in certain schools, it's false. I know we've come such a long way, and I know, in hearing your stories, I hear you. I get calls, just, Lily, bless your heart, of being sort of the anti-bullying mom. I get those, I must be known somewhere out in the community that as the board member to call, because I've assisted countless times on bullying related matters. Just most recently at a school where a young Sikh mother was looking for support because her child, who wears a turban, was being bullied. And rather than have the incident escalate, because a lot of this was truly ignorance, not having enough information and education, she reached out to me, and I provided her different resources within the Sikh community that are available for teachers. The Sikh Coalition has an excellent website that provides tools for educators. So I directed her to a very specific curriculum, and there are different posters that can be utilized, but as an educational opportunity to learn from it, because I think in all incidents there's a teachable moment. So if we can change hearts, then that's the other half of education. It's not just what we learn in schools. So this is very important to me, and I do know that we do a lot of great work with our equity committee. Our PBIS really has gone a long way in changing, because when I first started, it was a lot more pervasive. I won't say that it was everywhere all the time, but it was there. It was very obvious. And a lot of it had to do with not having enough support from our end, from the district and administration. While we've come a long way, I continue to hear stories that it's still happening. And obviously, it unfortunately will continue to happen. It's not a perfect world. But what can we do? We have excellent resources, but I'm also of the mindset that we can always do more and improve what we have. So I do want to share with Ms. Pinkerton, just to take back and look at other websites, other school districts on what they have. They actually have excellent sources in addition to what some of the sources we have. To get to the information, you either have to type in bullying specifically, which I hope parents will do, because it pulls you right up to the category to get the information. But if you're just trying to navigate in there, it's buried within wellness. So unless you know where to look and you're not doing the search engine, you can be lost. So I want to make sure that parents and students have the resources that they need, that it is streamlined, because it is site-specific perhaps, and it's not uniform. It should be uniform from the standpoint, if you're a parent, if you're a student, even from the bully, there's something going on, and these are usually cries for help. And that's where our social and emotional learning, that we are great at comes into play. But we can't do anything unless we hear about it. But sometimes we won't hear about it. It's going to be parents and students getting the information. So what information will they have, and is it enough? So I do want to share this with Ms. Pinkerton. There's an excellent place for online reporting, which we don't really have, as a way of capturing that information. We're giving it out, but we're not necessarily receiving it. And it's a very intimidating process. I, very connected in the community before I joined the board. I have a lot of excellent resources at my disposal. But it took me taking that extra initiative contact. I had to work with Elk Grove PD at the time to get my needs met. My district at the time, unfortunately, failed me. And it wasn't until, like I shared with the board last board meeting, until a knife was brandished on my child. It should not have gone there. So, but again, there's not a lot of me's out there who will know what other resources are available. We need to make this effective and streamlined and make sure, extra information is not going to hurt. We need to make sure that parents feel like not only are they being heard, but there are resources available for the parents, for the child, and for the bully. And I can direct you to a number of other resources along the way, because this is something I'm very passionate about. And I will say thank you to our district. As a member of the Sacramento Regional Coalition of Tolerance, we do this Stand Up, Speak Out Against Bullying every year. This year, it will actually be held at the California Museum. The Unity Center is finally opened, and I encourage everybody to go there. It's a great place to start having that conversation, to learn and grow and open your mind, because a lot of this comes from truly just not really understanding somebody else's perspective or who they are or respective culture and so forth. So the Unity Center does an excellent job with their exhibits, and it's very interactive and fun for children. So I am pleased that we do have a group of students going to this event, but I encourage anybody else who has not visited to do so. And then just a few more things. I do know that parents have asked for additional resources on cyberbullying. We don't really address much of that not only on our website, but in information that we share. So that is something that I have heard feedback on, is just additional information, because this little thing here can be very dangerous if not used correctly. So this is something that we do want to make sure that, again, we're educating our parents about what's actually happening and what opportunities and resources are available. Back to school nights and other places where we have a captive audience are great places to obviously share this kinds of information. And then in terms of streamlining, we'll pass our resolution, as we do with all resolutions, but for them to truly be effective is, what do we do with them? So I would love to see a report at the end of what this looked like on our various sites. I don't need something in detail on every site, but I'm curious to know what that looks like. Are elementary schools doing assemblies? Are they having readathons? Do they have guest speakers? What does it actually look like? So that we have an opportunity to review, is this enough? What else can we do? And a lot of these things, I know we have limited funds that we can work with, but a lot of information is free. So there's no excuse for not sharing information that's readily available, but it's making sure that we're able to get that. And then I do want to let everybody know that, because it also, with Anti-Bullying Month, that we did just reaffirm our Safe Zone campaign, that you see the big poster over there. We just reaffirmed it again last week and sent that out district-wide, which is very important to the culture and climate of our district. We do want to make sure that our students, our parents, our teachers, our staff feel safe. And if there are opportunities for us to grow and learn, we're here. We're here to listen. And I want to recognize Ms. Devaney as well. She reached out to me yesterday, I think, to co-host one of her talks that she has. And I'm more than happy to, and I reached back saying that I would more than happy to co-host and help you, because, you know, sometimes people just want to be heard. You want to have that dialogue, and it's an opportunity for me to go and listen. So I will be there once you get that organized. So thank you for that, and that's all I have to say on it. I think I said enough.
Thank you. I want to address something one of our speakers said. And first, I want to thank you for coming out and speaking on this item. I too sometimes worry that these resolutions can just be fluff. And without action that my colleague Bobby mentioned, they can be. So I want to thank you for taking the time to come out here and make sure that this remains top of mind for us. And to tell you that for me personally, and I think this board in general, one of the things that I say when people give us a compliment about the district is I say, you know, we do well, but we're aware that there's always room for improvement, that we can always do better. And this is certainly an area where there is, I think, a gap as shown by the examples you guys have shared. And, you know, the ideal expressed in this resolution, which I think nicely describes what the safe school environment is that all kids need and deserve. And it's a good reminder for all of us and those of our employees on the front line about the work that we still have before us. So thanks to you.
All right, anyone else? And I call for a motion to adopt resolution. Tony.
Well, thank all of you who are in that role. It takes a lot of guts and courage to come up here to speak on behalf of your children and your community. You're representing our community. I appreciate that. And as parents, I'm glad you come up here to speak on those issues, on all issues. That's your duty as parents. I did this for my kids. I like that. I like to empower you more. We have funds for these type of issues, school climate, under the LCFF, local control funding formula. If you feel that that's an issue, then come to your meetings, school meetings, come to the board and say, hey, we need to spend more monies in this issue. And you think it's a district-wide, school-wide issue, we need documentation, and we should document it. If there's kids out there doing this, we want to know. You know, I know there's gangs out there, they intimidate. If you interpret that, intimidation is bullying, I do. I see it. I see it in my community when the kids walk home from school, the bullying, what goes on, the teasing, that's, you know, ugly, this and that. But yet, you know, we need documentation and you know, times, dates to follow up on those issues. And thanks again for coming.
And I'd like to call for a motion to adopt Resolution 26, designating October as the National Bullying Prevention Month.
I move it.
Moved and seconded by
Tony?
Man, I'll tell you, I'm having trouble.
It's not.
Crystal.
We need coffee here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Routine before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is request for student expulsions. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the board in closed session regarding a student expulsion? Hearing none, I call for a motion to approve the request for student expulsions. Moved by Bobby, second by Chet. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. It passes. Thank you. All right, public comment. We have one tonight, and that is Solomon Gawanakim.
Hello, my name is Solomon Guanakim, and the student's right has been violated. According to the Academic Code of Conduct, all students have a right to be protected from the plagiarism charge, as it states, to protect all students' right to a fair and meaningful evaluation of their work. The Academic Code of Conduct has been adopted. An AP English teacher has been charging more than dozens with plagiarism throughout the 11 years of his tenure. When the teacher charged the student with the plagiarism, he gave the students a chance to admit to the plagiarism. This is what he said to me. "This can go either two ways. I can let it go or refer you to the office and give you a 0. Did you plagiarize?" The teacher then told me what the disciplinary consequences would be if I didn't admit. When a student does admit, the student receives a 0 on the paper, but has an option to take the initial essay score for the assignment and is not reported. But when the student does protest against the plagiarism charge, the student receives a 0 for the assignment and is reported to administration. According to the teacher's statement, almost all of the students he charged admitted to the plagiarism. This means that the teacher has now reported most plagiarism cases to administration. According to the Academic Code of Conduct, this is not the normal disciplinary procedure on the plagiarism offense. This is the statement of Dr. Van Brink, the vice principal. For incidents of academic dishonesty, it has always been a normal practice of the school, as well as other high schools in this district, to issue disciplinary consequences in addition to receiving a score of 0 for the assignment in the teacher's gradebook. When I was charged with plagiarism in December, I strongly stated that my source came from the teacher's lecture on the speech and tried to present my evidence. My essay differs from the internet source in its sentence structures and meanings. It proves that my source comes from the teacher's lecture, not from the internet source. According to the Academic Code of Conduct, my source must be protected against the teacher's plagiarism charge. However, the teacher did not even give a chance for me to defend myself, and instead, he gave me a 0 for the assignment on the green speech and referred me to administration just because I didn't admit to the plagiarism. Because the referral to administration has not been enforced, the school administration has not been aware of how many students have been charged on the same assignment by the teacher and how many students would make the same protest like me against the teacher's plagiarism. In fact, there was another female student in my class who was also charged with the same assignment. Therefore, the Pleasant Grove High School has failed to protect students from the plagiarism offense charge. This is the violation of the Academic Code of Conduct, which guarantees the protection of all students for their work.
Thank you, Solomon.
Thank you. I'm going to have somebody follow up.
I don't know. He already is. Mr. Cerruti will be meeting with you. Thank you. All right, I'd like to move to the consent agenda. Nancy?
Mr. President, I move approval of consent agenda items 1 through 16.
Okay, we have a motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. All right, there's no LCAP update tonight, no budget update, no facilities update. Bargaining units? None? None? All right, thank you. All right, then we do have LCAP and budget update, and that will be Mr. Pierce.
Mr. Cerruti and I were going to tag team this, but it is a
That's
quick
why
discussion.
Right. We'll see if he gets in here before you're finished.
Yeah, let me. Sue. Do you think you could see if you could tag team with Mark and have him come back in, and then we can make sure we go? Thank you.
Thank you, President. Members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. It's an exciting time of the year. As you well know, the County of Sacramento Office of Education has oversight of both the district's local control accountability plan as well as the district's overall budget. We submit those upon board approval, and I will speak to my section first and foremost. Proud to report to you that the county did in fact approve the district's overall budget on September 15th of 2017. They were required to comment in certain areas. You can see the comments there before you. I do want to point out that they must point out as part of AB 1200 that the district can or cannot meet its mandated reserve for economic uncertainties. I'm proud to announce that we can meet that mandate, obviously, over the course of the multi-year projection. They do also point out when your deficit spending. And so the figures that you see there before you for 17-18, deficit spending by $10.9 million, and then deficit spending again in 19-20, $3,600,000. Those were the numbers as of your adopted budget in June. You adopted a 45-day revise, and you've also now adopted your unaudited actuals. Those numbers have changed, so I'd like to point that out. Your deficit spending now in 17-18 far less than the $10.9 million. In fact, it's $1.9 million in 17-18 as a result of those actions that you've recently taken. The number for 19-20 is slightly less than the 3.6 at $3.4 million. And the county also must, as part of AB 1200, note that our negotiations have not been settled for the 17-18 fiscal year. But nonetheless, we're proud of our budget, and we're happy to seize SCOE's acknowledgement of that. I will let Mr. Cerruti speak, and then I'll be happy to answer any budget questions that you might have.
Thank you, Rob. So we are pleased to inform the board and the community that Sacramento County Office of Education approved our LCAP, and I'd just like to compliment the entire district community who was part of that process, and also compliment our partnership with the Sacramento County Office of Education. They are a great organization to work with. They provide a great deal of guidance and support and allow us the flexibility we need to put a successful and a good plan together. And the comment about the commendation about our efforts to continuously improve the achievement of students is noteworthy. And just a quick update regarding, you'll see where they make reference to the dashboard. So the state dashboard is scheduled to be produced and be out in late November. We don't have a specific date, but it's in late November. And I do want to point out that due to the exceptional folks we have in research and evaluation and the way that we structure our work, the information that the board received, all the LCAP data, that is the bulk of what is going to be produced in the dashboard. All of that information, we had a significant data meeting with all of our site administrators last week, and each site received their specific LCAP data. And so in years to come, it's planned that that's the timing when the dashboard information would come out. The state is still making some adjustments to a few of those metrics, but we have the calculations for the vast majority of them and have a close estimate of what those that are still being worked on will be. So our plan every year is actually to have that, and once they finalize that calculation, we'll be able to have that information available to folks earlier than late November. So we're in a position to be able to utilize that data, because it's important. Our site administrators have done a tremendous job with regard to, we made a significant shift and an adjustment and an update to our site budgeting process and how we allocate funds. And that necessitated that our principals really were creating a plan or finalizing a plan for this year and then turning right back around and beginning the planning for next year. And so those plans were submitted to the district, and they're under review right now. Will be coming to the board in November, and they're utilizing that dashboard data, although it's not in dashboard format, but it's the same data in planning for the 18-19 school year. And if you do have any questions,
Thank you.
Rob or I, we're happy to answer those questions.
Chet, you have any questions of either one? All right, Beth? No? You guys are done. Thank you. All right, public hearing action items, none tonight. Discussion items, none. Discussion action, none. Action, none. Board member superintendent reports. Bobby?
Yes, thank you. I do have a report. Committee, Partners in Education Committee last week. Some of the things that we discussed included just the state budget update. We also discussed our Arbinger update, sort of the ongoing efforts and future trainings, and a progress report on them for those that have already gone through them. So we had a good discussion on that. Just a shout out to EGEA again for their grant from CTA. That was great. And we did send a communication district-wide reaffirming our Safe Zone campaign. And the work of PI and the mission was captured in that as well to reaffirm why and how this is important. And a copy of the resolution was also included in there. So just an ongoing meeting, excellent discussions with all of our bargaining unit heads, the superintendent and myself representing the board.
Hey, thank you. Crystal? No, Tony. Nancy?
Oh, we went to the Native American Day.
That's not a committee.
Other items. Other items.
Hold that one. Okay, Chris?
The only thing I did want to mention, we did have the great honor of Arlene Hine Elementary School being recognized as a national blue ribbon school. Very, very exciting. We did had an opportunity to celebrate a little bit that on Friday. So great recognition. So just want to make sure we highlighted that.
Would you share the next steps?
Well, the next steps.
Step.
You're talking about national. So there's 3 folks that are invited: the principal and a staff member, as well as the superintendent. Tricky for a superintendent when they schedule it on the day of a board meeting, but I have had a conversation with a couple of members, and they strongly encouraged me to represent the district there. So I think that's what will happen. So we're working through those plans right now.
Yeah, it's once in a lifetime. Okay, thank you. Other items from the floor. Bobby?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Let's see. So I've been doing some research. I've had conversations with colleagues from other school districts, not just in relation to bullying, but race relations, and really more of, say, customer service is really the only way to sort of capture, of making sure that does the school district provide enough customer service relations to our community. And one of the things that was raised from Fresno Unified School District, Sac City, and the Natomas. So I just want to share this with my colleagues. It's not for any action or any future agenda. I'm just putting this there as food for thought for now, and maybe down the road we may want to have a discussion. It's a position. It's called an ombudsperson. And I'll just read, it's a 2-paragraph description just so you understand what I'm talking about. And this one comes directly from Fresno Unified. It says, the creation of the ombudsperson position is a commitment by Fresno Unified to reach out to the community and to encourage and enhance a unifying approach to support students, parents, the community, and the district. As educators, we believe it is important to value parents, students, and community members as our partners and to work collaboratively with them to educate the children of our district. An ombudsperson works to provide a variety of services that include complaint resolution, crisis support, case management, information, and referral. And there's a number of other things. So I just want to share this. It has frequently asked questions and whatnot. So my colleague, Crystal Martinez, and I have actually been discussing this, particularly from our last board meeting, not just from the bullying, but the race relations and what we can do on a more proactive level. So I'm just sharing this as food for thought. So there you go. So if we can just, since I can't email it to the board without breaking rules, I now share it with you.
Right. Thank you. Crystal?
I wanted to add comments to that as well. It seems like from what I gather from looking at the research or kind of the website too from Fresno Unified, it helps to bridge the gap if there's any misunderstandings that occur in the district and has like a spokesperson to address that as a customer service representative. So I thought that would be helpful. And also, regarding the crisis support that it provides. I had 2 other items. I just wanted to mention I attended the California Indian Day that occurred at the state capitol, and it was a huge turnout. It was their 50th celebration for their tribal sovereignty, so that was a really well-attended event. And then also I attended the picnic in the park for Elizabeth Pinkerton out in the community, and that as well was another well-attended event. There was many family and children activities that were there, so I just wanted to give those updates as well.
Mr. Fortuna, can I conclude? I had one more. So if for Natomas Unified, it's called a constituent customer services position. They won the Golden Bell at CSBA for this. All of the school districts that I've described, what they do is they gather the data and then they share it as they navigate through the issues, but the information is then shared with the superintendent and the board. So we have a way of sort of reflecting, since we can't be in all of the sites all of the time, it's a sort of a customer service oriented approach. So that was the other missing information on what I just provided. I didn't download Natomas's information, so I wanted to share that verbally.
Thank you. Tony?
Forgot to mention that. I forgot to mention that I read a study on bullying. California alone loses estimated $275 million each year because the children feel unsafe at schools. 275 statewide. Very important issue. Bullying is a big school problem that not only creates an unhealthy climate for individuals, but also undermines schools and communities, period. That's all I like to say.
Thank you. You have anything? All right. All right, then. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
We turn in our computers, correct? Yeah. Thank you.
Why? I know.